Bring us your baffling.
Bring us your audacious.
We want your sticky notes, sketchbooks, and scribbles. Let's pin them to the wall, kick them around.
Kick them around, see what happens.
Because we're in the how do I get this startup off the ground business.
The taking your business, global business.
We're in the problem-solving business. 400,000 people.
Ready to help you solve problems while they're still called opportunities.
From figuring it out to getting it done.
We're here to help.
I'd like to welcome everyone here at the Union, online, watching on our live stream, and also on Twitter. Coach, would you like to make a few opening statements about the class?
Well, appreciate it. I'm just glad everybody came and to join us today. We're very excited. The lifeblood of any football program is just like the lifeblood of any school. It's recruits. It's new people coming in, bringing fresh talents and fresh energy and fresh abilities to the campus and to our program. And so we are very excited. You know, it's funny, all coaches usually are excited today because if you're happy with the guys you got, then you had a great year. And we're very, very happy with the guys that we got.
And if you'd like to ask any questions on Twitter, use the hashtag AskBowden. Coach, you're coming off a historic season here at the University of Akron. You guys went to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl and got a victory over Utah State. What does that do in terms of the last month or two of recruiting?
Well, I mean, good players want to go to good programs. A player that is a good football player, he doesn't want to go somewhere and lose. He wants to go somewhere and win. And when I first got to Akron and we were coming off of 2 1-11 seasons when I took the job over, people would say, why don't you recruit local players? And I said, well, the good ones want to go to a program that wins. The good ones won't come. They won't come here because we haven't proven we deserve for them to come here. Now, you can sell them on what expectation, on what you plan on doing. And if you can paint a vivid picture and you can paint you're a good recruiter, you'll get a few. But it's winning that recruits winning players. And the fact that we had our first 8-win season in Division I history, we had our first bowl victory ever, that's the kind of thing that people want to come be a part of. Everybody, I think most schools in our conference feel that they can give a young student athlete a good education. Most schools in the Mid-American Conference are very solid at the academic part, good education part. A football player then wants to go where he can win, where he has a chance to maybe play in the NFL. And we can take care of that now and say you're going to come here and be a part of a winner.
Coach, the lifeblood of recruiting is your home state. How do you feel you did here in Ohio?
Did very well. Now we believe that the lifeblood of our program is more Northeast Ohio. I will say that. Cincinnati's a lot further. It's a 4-hour drive, and Fort Lauderdale's a 2-hour flight, so we don't feel it's any further to go to Fort Lauderdale in some parts, but we are very strong about Northeast Ohio, from Canton to Akron to Youngstown to Cleveland, and we throw Pittsburgh in as an area within an hour and a half, Western Pennsylvania, with a lot of key players. So by all means, we have players from all over the state of Ohio, but we consider Northeast to be the area that we put our fence around, and we don't want players in the Mid-American Conference coming into Northeast Ohio and taking players that ought to be going to Akron.
And Florida is also a key recruiting battle for every school in the country. You guys did go down there and get a lot of talent from South Florida.
But we haven't hid the fact that after Northeast Ohio, our main recruiting area is South Florida, south of I-4. And if you know about Florida, there's an interstate that goes east to west from Tampa to Daytona. And south of that is where most of the football is played as far as high schools are concerned. In that area, historically, there's 18 million people in Florida. It's one of the top recruiting states in the nation. If you took 2 metropolitan areas, Los Angeles and Miami, it's the 2 #1 areas in the country for recruits. And we have a coaching staff that have spent 20 to 30 years recruiting those areas wherever we've coached. And so we believe that's the area outside of our regional geographical area. That's the area where we can make a difference. You know, you can go to in the state of Ohio, I imagine every football player in the state of Ohio knows which teams in the Mid-American Conference were on top the last 10 years or were the bottom the last 10 years. But when you go to South Florida, they don't know one Mid-American school from the other. But a lot of them know the name Bowden, and that helps down there.
Should we get into some of the video from some of the guys
Let's
right now?
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it. We're going to start off with...
We'll just go over our class. And again, we got some little clips of their plays, and we'll talk about some of these guys. Start with Trevor Brown, big 6'5", 270-pound lineman. We lost our 5 starters on the offensive line, so as you can see, we want some big guys playing. He's at a prep school, which means that's just like high school, but with one more year of eligibility, one more year of preparation. So this is a prep school. You see this video, which is an extended high school. Still comes in just like a high school senior. We like his athleticism. You see him playing tackle right there, protecting that quarterback. Trevor Brown will have a chance because he's already in school, enrolled, and going to school right now. Brandon Council, another offensive lineman, 6'4", 340 pounds from prep school. He also is already enrolled and is already in school and is blocking. Just watch a few snips of him blocking. Big-bodied guy that can really put his body against you and make impact. Very important if these guys want to play next year on the line, they need to be here now. They go through spring ball. Very different than if you're a freshman coming out of high school. So he's a big prep school player who came out of high school, went to prep school, and now is ready to come in right now. Brandon Council, offensive lineman, that's him. Alvin Davis is a defensive back outside of St. Thomas Aquinas. He is a signee out of St. Thomas Aquinas is the top high school in the state of Florida. If you're from St. Ed's in Ohio, you think of that, that's St. Thomas Aquinas in Florida. We need to get a player from there. He's one of the top defensive backs. We really like that, but it gets us now in at one of the top schools in the state of Florida in St. Thomas Aquinas. They don't recruit. They just get a lot of the good players to go there, let's just say.
There's a lot of players nationally that come out of that high school.
Absolutely. It'll be one of the top teams in the country for football players around the country. Jaleel Davis is a running back out of Titusville, about 30 or 40 miles east of Orlando. He is a 205-pound tailback that can break the long one. He'll be 225 before he gets it. We need a little bigger back, and we think he gives us that ability to be a fast, watch him run the football, yes, but he runs with over 200 pounds. And again, he'll gain 20 pounds easily in the first 2 years of college. And so we like to think the fact that we'll have a big 6'2", 225-pound tailback with a great future here at Akron. Jamal Davis is a linebacker. Now, Jamal's a transfer. He's from Canton McKinley. You think of Savon Pittman, very similar. Started the last 2 years for us. He signed with Pittsburgh, made the transfer change back to us. He will sit a year, which he has to do, get his transfer, his eligibility, and then he will be eligible to play. He counts as an initial for us, but he'll be eligible after sitting a year, and you'll watch him play now. He can play football. And coming back from Pittsburgh, very much like Trevon Chapman did at Pittsburgh, but he is a nice 6'4", 235-pound linebacker that's going to be a nice. Sean Featherstone is a player, is a safety, is a defensive back from Pittsburgh area, Penn Hills High School, another great high school. Watch him hit people. He likes to tackle. You like your safety to be aggressive. Watch him put this stopper on the goal line. Knocks him backwards. He plays offense as well, but we look at him as a safety. Sean Featherstone is a recruit of Mike Woodford. He coaches safeties, so you would like to think he's going to recruit guys that he wants to coach. So we like Featherstone, nice tall guy, 6'2", 190 pounds, coming ready to go. Kevin Gladney's a transfer. Where did he go? He's out of Firestone High School. He signed with Nebraska. We really like guys that signed at the Big 10 or Big 12 or SEC, and then they want to come home. They got too far away. He's a big 6'2", 210-pound wide receiver from right down the road where Cody Grice and Jerome Lane played. He's coming home. He set out this past year. He'll be eligible to play this year. He's been in school all year. He'll be on our team for spring football. Gives us another big weapon at wide receiver. We lose Andrew Pratt, some of those guys y'all got used to seeing. Nice receiver out of high school. Dominic Hawley, East High School in Akron. Dominic's a senior at East High School, which means he'll come in as a freshman, but got great skill also. Catches the ball well among people, got good height, good range, very athletic. East High School, you didn't talk about them much last couple of years, but all of a sudden they've got great seniors and juniors at East High School, and he's one of them. And he's a receiver that can give us big play capability. We had 8 of our 22 starters this year came from within 20 miles of this campus. They went to high school. We believe that brings people, and that's going to be part of the equation for putting people in the stands as we win. Dominic Hawley from East High School in Akron, Ohio. Devontae Jest out of Ocala Forest. We signed a linebacker, Ulysses Gilbert, last year out of Ocala Forest. Jest is a freshman. He's about 300-pound defensive lineman. We've got to replace Rodney Coe and Cody Grice. He is a freshman that can play. Watch him accelerate to the ball and take that 300 pounds and really deliver it. Does a great job of moving around, got great movement. We're really excited. We have a lot of the coaches there played for us at other schools like Florida State, and we know their coaches well. Bryce Jones is a transfer from Boston College. He's a cornerback, started 2 years, but he's from Cleveland Heights, right here in Cleveland. Started 2 years at Boston College, is on our campus, has been here all year, so he's already a part of the team, but he wasn't eligible, so we call him what we call a newcomer. He's new to y'all. He's not new to us, but he's new to y'all, so we want y'all to see what we're doing with this year's class. He's a super. The track coach said he's one of the best athletes we've given him. He runs long jump, hurdles, does a great job as a track athlete and as a football player. He'll be a cornerback with great skills, good student athlete. Cleveland Heights wanted to come close to home again. Montel Jordan is a freshman gray shirt, which means he graduated last spring. He set out until January, and he just entered schools this January, just now. He's a true freshman. But he also is going to have a spring football practice this year. And he'll be able to go through spring and still be a true freshman next fall. But he's 340 pounds. He's out of Fort Lauderdale area, and is one of those South Florida guys that's helping us. You can see he's a giant. He's a moose, and he is a door stopper. He stops that door. 6'4", 330 pounds out of Deerfield Beach. Yovan Latui out of San Diego. He's a big lineman out of San Diego. He's a junior college player there. He will not graduate from junior college till May. He will be here in the summer. But John Latui, and I hope he's Samoan. That sounds Samoan. We like to have some Samoans. But Coach Funk, our offensive line coach, was a line coach at San Diego State, and Latui would go to camp, and he would see him when he was younger, and they formed a relationship. He had a chance to go to San Diego State, San Jose State. He chose Akron because we graduated 5 linemen. He sees himself as a chance to play. Yvonne Latui. DeMarcus Lloyd out of Vienna, Georgia, South Georgia, where I was born down there in South Georgia. He's at Butler Junior College. He'll be a 2-year junior college. He's a transfer. He graduates with an AA degree. He comes in from Butler Junior College in Kansas. Has great speed. Kind of looks like kind of that Jatavis Brown type speed. Watch him run. He runs well. He's got great speed, plays well, plays fast. It's the kind of linebacker that Coach Amata likes. He's got great open field speed, 6 foot, 225 pounds. Cedric McCoy, 6'5", 330 pounds. That's out of Palatka, Florida, which is right close to Gainesville. He is a junior college player out of Elmworth Community College in Iowa. And he's a big lineman that has 2 years of eligibility. He comes out of Florida, and he's a big guy. Again, a lot of these linemen feel neat. We graduated 5 linemen. They want to come have a chance to play. And so we got 4 of them here in January. Cedric McCoy is one of the 4 that are already here in January. JoJo Matt Natson is on campus. He transferred from Utah State, the team we beat in the bowl game. He was there leading punt return, kick return. He is an incredible athlete. He set out. He is here on campus. He'll have 1 year of eligibility, but he's the only guy in America his last year at Utah State that ran a ball for a touchdown, caught a ball for a touchdown, threw a ball for a touchdown, returned a kick for a touchdown, and returned a punt for a touchdown. Their head coach told me before the game he was the best athlete in the Midwest, Mountain West Conference. The best return man in the Mountain West Conference. He's a phenomenal athlete. He'll be a receiver and a return specialist. He's something special. He'll be out there with Jerome Lane as 2 of the biggest playmakers we've had at wide receiver in a long time. Jonathan Neely from Ursuline High School right out there in Youngstown. He's a high school freshman. He'll come in the fall as a true freshman. Another lineman. We needed a lineman. He's 6'5", 275, 280. Really like him. Jonathan does a great job. He committed to us early, stayed with his commitment. And we like the fact that he's a high school senior, got a lot of years to grow in our program. Wouldn't be surprised if he didn't redshirt because he comes in the fall. But we give them all a chance to go at it. Really like him and like his ability. That's another good high school that's played great football over at Ursuline. Jonathan Neely, 6'5". Cato Nelson, this guy was one of our big, I would say our recruiting class is built around Cato. He's that freshman quarterback that we needed to build our future around. 6'1", 195 pounds. He played 7-on-7. He's from Fort Lauderdale, Flanagan High School. Runs well, throws well. He fits our offense. We had him committed for a year. Florida Atlantic went in, worked him real hard, tried to get him to change his mind. That's a hard school not to go to if you like West Palm Beach. But he chose to stay here with us. And we're very happy at quarterback, I assure you, but we wanted one for the future. This guy's the real deal, and I think if you talk to anybody around the state of Florida, he has been a huge one. Quadarius Smith's an interesting. He was in Orlando. He went to school with my kids in Orlando. We tried to recruit him. He turned us down to take a full track scholarship to Missouri. He's a receiver. He ran a 10.3 900 meters for Missouri's track team, but they wouldn't let him play football because they didn't want to count him towards football. He transferred here. He's running track right now for our great track program, but he's eligible to play next year. So that gives you a guy that's 10.39 in the 100 in a track time in a meet in the SEC, and he's got great speed. He's already on campus. So the great thing about that signing class, or you being here, a lot of people in these recruiting services, all they look is how many high school guys you got, what their names are. Quadarius Smith, who's been sitting here a year, doesn't fit into their category, but we call them newcomers. They're guys that we have on our team that were not eligible last year, that next year they will be a newcomer that you'll say, well, here's a new guy, here's a new guy. So we want to have about 25 new guys. I don't care if they're high school or if they've been sitting on our team for a year or if they transferred from Nebraska. I just want to be a new guy and come in and compete with the old guys. And so that's what we've got is a great class, and I think we've got a good understanding of how to combine these athletes at Akron to take us where we want to go in our football program. For many people that ask, well, the best way, if you had your choice, you'd get you 25 freshmen out of high school, you'd redshirt all of them, so they'd grow old, and then you'd play them out down the road. But when you're building a program, you need some experience. You need guys to be older, you need guys to be younger. You get a good mix of all those types. And this is the 5th university I've taken over as a head coach, Division III, Division II, Division I AA, Division I, and everyone's a little different. Every Division I's a little. Auburn's different than Akron. Akron's different than Ohio State. We all have to recruit differently, but I really, really like the formula that our coaches have put together. Did a great job. Our coaches did a great job recruiting, and I think we are now starting to get on an annual basis the kind of athletes that can keep us where we are, because our goal is not to be 8-5. That's just the first time. Our goal is to be 9, 10, 11 conference champions. Anything less than that is not part of our goal anymore. 8's just the last thing that we did. We've got to continue to improve the quality of our athletes, the performance of our players, and just get better and better. So I think the snowball is moving down the hill, or the big rock is moving down the hill. We just got to keep pushing and keep it going until it gets to the final destination, which is a conference championship and a bowl game every year.
Now, one thing I noticed, Coach, was the transfers that you have came from a lot of Power 5 schools, and those guys have a skill level that is unique to the Power 5, and you did get quite a few to come here.
Well, again, it's a mix for us. Most of them from local schools, or most of them came from local places. There's a fit. There's a fit in here, and there's a mix that you have to have a good combination of those kind of players. Obviously, when you get a transfer to come in, you'd like it to be a very, very good high school player that you really liked, but he was so good, he went to a Big 10 school or a Big 12 or an SEC school, and most of the time he's coming home. He wants to come home. Maybe a new coach came in, and that new coach wants his own players. That's the most common thing, is when we coaches change schools anytime we want to. These players are stuck there even when we leave. I'm just talking, that's the truth. New coach comes in, what's the first thing he says? Well, the old coach didn't leave me anything. He didn't leave. All they're doing is trying to give themselves another year or two to build a program. And so they began to build a team with their own guys. Well, they leave a lot of guys sitting out there that aren't part of their plans. And so they want to go play somewhere. And so we keep our eyes open. I think if you look around the country, whether it be not just the Mid-American Conference, but you check any website today, I don't care if it's ESPN, CBS, Sportsline, whatever, you'll see that young men today don't sit third team or second team ever. Everything's a what can you do for me lately? The whole old college football, if you're a backup somewhere, you're going to go find you a place to play. And that wasn't part of the equation 20 years ago. It's a huge part of football. As you watch quarterbacks go from Florida State to Alabama, Notre Dame to Florida State, one school to another, and win championships and things like that, you're seeing athletes that because of the social media they get on, everybody knows about them. They know what's going on somewhere else. People are not sitting as much as you thought. So whether you like it or not, transfers are a part of the equation, and it needs to be a wise part of the equation. And I've got some wise coaches. I think they know what they're doing.
Okay, I think we're going to take some questions from the media right now.
Anybody?
George Thomas, Akron
Yes,
Beacon Journal.
George.
Thanks, Terry. I love you too.
This is what you do for a living, George, I know.
The first thing I notice, your offensive line, there's a lot of beef there.
Yes.
Most notably, there's a lot of height.
Yeah.
Is that a conscious effort this year? Because your linemen have varied in size over the past few
Well,
years.
really, you think about it, we all want the same. We would like to have, and I use Ohio State because we all love Ohio State and we don't play them. So we use, they recruit guys that are 6'5", 300, and they usually don't drop below those statistics because long arms, long bodies, they can do things in that level. But we want an athlete just like them. I want one just like Ohio State. Well, for me to get a guy that's just as good as the Ohio State guy, I got to drop down to 6'3", 6'2". You know, if they're 6'1", they can't even look at him. But the guy has the exact same talent as the guy that's 6'5". He's just not as tall. So the first thing I want to do, I want to get a guy that's just as talented. And you get Daryl Funk is coming here with a large list he came in from Michigan, my offensive line coach this past year, did a great job. And he's had a lot of big guys, and he's got a lot of people that he's worked with and people on his list of recruiting. And I think he's been able to connect us with big people. And I think if you had your druthers, you'd want big people. But you got to admit, you don't want big people that can't play. You want big people that are close to what the top schools are getting. So, but I think because of Coach Funk and what he understands and what he's looking for, we're looking for bigger people. If you think of we'll talk football here. If you think of a 4-3 defense, both guards are covered by defensive linemen. So now the guard has to be big to take on a big defensive lineman, whereas in a 50, both guards are open. Nobody covers them. You can have a smaller guard. But nowadays, you're playing so many four-man fronts, you want big linemen. So that's part of the equation. We have 4 new linemen who came in January. We've got 2 more coming in, already signed. They're coming in September, and we'll bring 1 more after that to have 7. Our numbers then will be 16 scholarship athletes. You got to remember, Ritz started several games. Erickson has started several games. Levon Goffney started a bunch at tight end, but also played a lot at guard. So we do have about 3 starters, or 3 guys who have started and played games returning on that offensive line.
We have another question from the media.
It's already on. Steve French from the Akron IMG Sports Network.
Yes, Steve.
I'm interested in Cato Nelson. I knew that people knew he had committed like last summer.
Right.
They transfer schools. That school wins the state championship. I think his coach went to Florida State. Is that right?
Assistant coach did.
Assistant
I think
coach.
both of them did. I think the head coach and the assistant. Devin Bush, yeah.
Obviously, you can't hide him. He had won a state championship before. So how difficult is that to keep him, we've seen how many people flip, keep him verbally committed that long? If
you enjoy the dynamics of recruiting and the insecurity and not knowing, that was a battle. He committed very early. And everywhere I would travel this year and talk to other recruiters around the country, around the state of Florida, and they talk about these 7-on-7 camps. He was the star almost everywhere he played. So we felt like we had a very, very special athlete. We felt like we were getting one, and he was committed early. And so, but in the last month or two, Florida Atlantic, which is about 30 minutes away from his home, got some new staff members. They began to have they decided they wanted him. And they're 30 minutes away, and they have a fine university and a fine program. And so they went full speed to get him not to travel way up to Akron and stay right there. And we had to work hard to make sure that he stayed with his commitment. But he's a man of great quality and a great character, and he stayed with his commitment. But we do feel like we had about 5 quarterbacks that we had selected last year as guys that we can win with. And we had them ranked. We didn't tell them. We had them ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because the object is to make all 5 of them believe they're number 1, and you've got yours ranked in your head, And of course, they probably got 5 schools they like, and their job is to make us think they're the number 1, and they've got us ranked. So it's a game we all play. This is a case where we got our number 1, and he got his number 1. And Otis Mounds, who recruits that area, did a great job working with him. A.J. Milwee, our quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, did a great job working with him. And we had coaches, when the 2 coaches at the school are guys that played for your dad or played for Chuck Amato, and that you've got positive feedback. They're saying good things about us every day. So that's the dynamic of that. And we think he's a very, very good quarterback who can come in here and compete right away.
You had mentioned Bryce Jones and Cordarius Smith also run track, and they're doing very well. So as opposed to places like you said in Missouri that wouldn't let them do both, you don't feel that hinders them as football players to run track in the spring?
I think that's one of those things that we see as a niche recruiting tool that we have that not many people in the Midwest have. We've got one of the top 20 track programs in the country. Sprinters are sometimes hard to get, so we've got two guys. Anthony Young runs a 10.5. Quadarius runs a 10.39. Montel Duran was a great high jumper a few years ago. Bryce Cheeks won the 60 a lot, as did Hakeem Lawrence. And we've sat down with the track coach, said we need to be the premier program. We want to be the premier program in this part of the country for dual athletes that want to run track and play football. You come here, you've got a track that you can 12 months out of the year, you can practice, you can run track, you can train indoors, which is the biggest thing to create great sprinters. They can be training and not worried about snow. And also, if you look at what Baylor is doing, some of these teams, even in our league, BG, we feel like getting sprinters playing football and letting them run track and letting the track coaches teach them how to run fast, especially if they're wide receivers or cornerbacks, that will make us a better team. So I think you're going to see in the next year or two, Akron's going to further develop to be the premier program, if not in the country, in the Midwest, for dual sport track football athletes, where the football coach and the track coach both commit 100% to both sports being played and being, and that means a commitment. That means during the off season, they've got to train for track. They can't do some of the things we do. And then during the football, they've got to let our guys play football. So Coach Wilson, Dennis has done a great job, and we work together. And I think obviously his pole vaulting and his field events and all of his events, but I think the sprinting part is going to make both of us an even better national contender.
Quick follow-up to a question Steve asked. Ultimately, what kept Nelson in your win column? Why did he, despite that pressure?
What kept Cato here? Well, you know what? I just think he wants to be a part of a program where the offense fits his style. He studied us hard. He saw what we were doing with the offense. He saw him as being a guy that could take our offense. We've got a quarterback with 2 more years of eligibility, and he probably, I'm sure, feels like he can step right in and play right now. But you also know he's got 3 years after Tommy Woodson leaves. But he felt like it was an offense that he could do it. I think Coach Milwee impressed him with his ability to develop quarterbacks. And, we've been very fortunate quarterbacks that we've coached in the past. I've been very fortunate with quarterbacks that I've had in the past being successful either as coaches or players in the NFL or coach. Jimbo Fisher was the first quarterback I ever signed out of high school, was Jimbo Fisher, who happened to be a coach, not a pro player. But we've had a lot of them in the NFL or in the coaching. And I think some of these guys come in, they see that they will put themselves in a situation where their futures are not just playing football, but their future after college can be a plus. But the biggest thing was he saw us having an offense where he could step in and be a part of, and he liked the coaching staff, and he liked the facilities.
I think we're going to open it up to questions from the audience right now.
Does anyone have a question for Coach Bowden? Please raise your hand.
Was that a question or was that an order?
I think that was
that was a food order.
Hey, Coach. Marcel Ulrich with zipsnation.org.
Yeah.
I was curious, how difficult was it or different is it now that you're selling results versus selling hope?
Expectations, yeah. It's a little more honest. Now, you know what? It's people, young student athletes, they're smart enough to know that you're selling a vision is what we were doing. We're selling enthusiasm. We were selling a vision. We were selling a track record that we've been successful where we've been. The program's making strides. But nothing beats winning. Winning solves all problems. Winning is the easiest sell there is having a winning program. And good football players, winners want to be around winners. That's just the way it is. They don't like to lose. They don't like to be around losing. Every now and then, when you go into a program, you can say, hey, listen, I'm a winner. I've been a part of a winner. We're going to take this program and make it a winner. And we're going to do it with you. And you can sell that. But man, that clock starts running. You better get that thing turned, you know, because you can only sell it so long. So I think we stand in a different position right now. Now, we got to sustain it. We got to do it again, because the first thing, you know, the recruit's going to ask, can you do it again? That was okay, but can you do it again? And so we've got to go address that. But that's a lot. It's just it's easier to sell winning than it is to sell the expectation of winning and painting the vision. Now the one thing you can do when you're saying, I just got here and we're going to do this, you can make it up as big as you want to make it. You know, you can say we're going to do this, and you can go. But I really think from this point forward, we can really set really high goals as well.
Marcus Hayes is the coach at East. He was a former player for Akron.
I'm sorry?
Marcus Hayes
Uh-huh.
is coach at East, and I saw where a couple kids for next year had committed to
Sure.
Akron, and then there's one coming here this year. Does it help having coaches locally? Now Marcus Watley is a coach. Does
Oh, it helps. I
former
mean,
players?
absolutely. Coaches that went to Akron that want their players, you know, they had a good experience here, and a coach had a good experience at Akron, and he just wants his players to have the same quality experience he had. So the more coaches we have that coached at Akron or have a positive feeling about Akron, it's all going to help you. You know, we brought John Nemec on board here a year or two ago as a personnel director, kind of a player personnel relations and staff relations and things like that. But he represents some of the old guard, the coaches around this community that have been here a long time. And he has great rapport with the area coaches. And it's nice to have that kind of relationship. You know, I've been here 4 years. I may have a future here. My kids all go to school here. I got another one coming next year. But I don't have 30 years of experience in this area. A staff member like that, Trent Boykin, who went to Kent Roosevelt High School, Mike Woodford, our defensive backfield coach who played at Niles High School, has coached here many, many years with Jim Dennison at Walsh and Jerry Faust here. Those kind of coaches, just like the coach at East, that paints that picture. And we're now starting to get that network of players and that network of coaches that we want to have. It's very important that you have people like coaches talking positively about your program.
Quick question. Jamal Davis is listed on the paper here as a sophomore. Will he have 2 or 3 years eligibility?
Jamal Davis, and again, I'm going to say 3 or 2 because I don't know the answer. He has 2, but it seems to me that there could be some kind of a process that he might have 3, but 2 is, I think you have to go with 2. I mean, I think because of where he's gone and set out, and I see my compliance person over there, it's 2 years is what I think he's set at. If he's a sophomore right now, and 2, and so quite often these guys will apply for a hardship or apply for something. I really don't even know if that's a possibility. But 2 years would be where it stands right now, and probably where I ought to say it goes. That's where it goes, I think, right now.
Any other questions from the audience? All right, hang on.
Yeah, good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
You have Tyler Gilchrist coming here from Archbishop Hoban.
Well, I mean, indications are he's interested in our program. I mean, Tyler's not one that we signed, and so he's not on our list yet.
Oh. Did you have contact also with Anthony Christian and Jonah Morris as well?
You know, I can't say names because my assistant coaches do most of the recruiting in the schools, and there's a lot of players that we've talked to. There are players right now that are deciding whether to be preferred walk-ons or whether to come to school here. But other than the ones that we signed right now, we're not really at a position to talk about. I'm sure by the time the season rolls around, there'll be some additions to this group. But right now, as far as who we have locked in to come on signing date, these are the people that we've locked in.
Well, if those 2 boys I mentioned go away to schools far away and then get homesick and come back, do you have a rapport with them now that they might be interested in coming here?
You know, the smart thing to do is always keep the channels of communication open. I mean, it's like I don't want to be it's like when I got interviewed here. I didn't care if I was their first choice. I just wanted to be the last choice, you know, because the last choice is the guy that gets the job. And when it comes to recruiting, I don't care that we're the first choice because there's a lot of good schools out there. But if we'll keep the chain of command, the communications open, the relationships good, and they come back in this area, then we'll need them, and this is where they'll need to be. So by all means, if you look at our track record of allowing players that we missed, we tried to recruit, they wanted to crack at a bigger school somewhere else, it didn't work out. We've been very open to them coming back and being a part of our team.
Rick Madden, I played here 71 through 74, and I just want to tell you, I think you've done a great job of bringing excitement back to Akron. And as an alumnus, I'm hoping you guys continue. I have a feeling you will. And I'm just hoping more guys like me will come and attend the games and you know, and be involved in the activities. I just hope that there's some activities there for the alumni, so we will continue to come back. But Coach, you've done a great job, and we're really excited about Akron football.
Thank you very much. And again, your biggest critics in a positive way, your biggest analysts are your former players because they have high expectations for this program, and they hold you accountable for the years that they put in. And so we feel like our lettermen, the fellows that played here, are the ones that we want to bring back the most. I would encourage you to come to the spring game. We have a breakfast with our players for former lettermen come back. This will be a special year of our spring game. We're going to ask all of our lettermen to come back, and at our spring game or that breakfast, pregame breakfast, we're going to award their players their rings that say famous Potato Bowl champion, but they also say 8-5, best Division 1A record ever, and bowl victory, first bowl victory ever. We'll give them those, we'll give them their rings. But we're also going to start a tradition here because they all have their letter jacket. For every year that they win the wagon wheel, we're going to have a gold lapel wagon wheel, and it'll go on their letters. So each year that they win that wheel, that's going to go on there too. And they represent that wheel for everybody here. And every year we'll add that wheel to another one to their letter jacket. So we hope we can encourage everyone to come to spring game. We're not going to completely be the program we need to be until all of us are involved. That means we win and you come. If we win and you don't come, the equation doesn't work. I mean, the way it worked for me, I've coached at Auburn. We go down to Miami, and nobody ever came to their games. They still were the best players. But it just, the school, the whole system didn't work. We believe that football, we keep on winning, people are going to come. But a lot of times, it's like you come and it helps us win. You get there in those crowds, you help us have a home field advantage. This past year, as others, we win more games on the road than we do at home. We have a great road record and as good, but we don't quite have that home field advantage yet. Not your fault, probably as much the football program's fault, but we appreciate you being a part. We're excited about the future, and I think we'll earn your respect as the seasons go along.
Any other audience questions?
Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up. Coach, as you know, spring football, as you can tell outside, is right around the corner. It's about 65 degrees outside. You wish you had a chance to go outside. Get that first practice in today.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. Football is fun. I love football, but I don't want the offseason to end any sooner than it ends. I like the offseason. It gives us time to mentally rest. Doesn't mean we're practicing every day. We're weight training every day. But we don't have report cards on Saturday. We don't have the stress of knowing a game's on Saturday, so I enjoy our off season. The fun part is spring football. Anybody, they're open every day you come. The spring practices are open. The scrimmages are on Saturdays and one day a week. And I encourage you, and I'm not sure it's something, I think our spring game's April 16th.
You're correct, April 16th. Spring practice starts March 14th.
March 14th through April 16th is spring practice. We encourage you to come. Get a look at some of these players and see how they play and come be a part of the program. I would say this, like anything else, get your season, if you want to support this program, get your season tickets now and find someone else who doesn't have season tickets and get them to get season tickets. They're not that expensive. They are not. It's cheaper than going to a movie and getting a dadgum dinner. It's not an expensive thing to get season tickets. And we need to go out there and encourage people to get their season tickets because that's going to be that's how you budget, that's how you work through these things. And we need everybody to support our program.
And the season opener is Thursday, September 1st against VMI on a Thursday night. Season tickets are available at gozips.com. On behalf of Coach Bowden, I'm Mark Scafidi. Thanks you for joining us today.